Why are humans so obsessed with Mars? What mysteries does this red planet really hide? On this distant red desert, did life ever blossom here? Please give me 10 minutes. I will take you through this vast universe, reveal the mystery of this planet, to explore the story behind that red Mars, this red planet. As our near neighbor, for a long time, it has been renowned for its mystery and grandeur, occupying the dreams of human exploration in the starry sky. It is not only in the works of science fiction writers, a land of imagination and exotic beauty. It is also the destination that scientists tirelessly seek for extraterrestrial life. To unveil its mysterious veil, we launched countless Mars probes and orbiters. They traversed the vastness of space with 4K resolution, caught amazing images of the Martian surface, Mars with its rugged terrain, captivating red tones, as well as the amazing geological wonders, continuously stimulating our desire for exploration. What would it be like to land on the surface of Mars? What wonders would we witness? About this red planet, how much do we really know? Hello everyone, I am Asba. Today we will explore this planet together, the breathtaking side you may have never seen. First, although Mars is an outer planet, it is not as alien as you might think. There are many similarities between Earth and Mars. One of them is the length of the day. A Martian solar day is only slightly longer than Earth's. It is 24 hours, 39 minutes, and 35 seconds. Its year is slightly longer than Earth's. For 1.88 Earth years, that is 320 days and 80.2 hours. This is for planets that are farther from the Sun and have larger orbits. It was bound to happen. Among all the planets in the solar system, Mars has the most similar seasonal changes to Earth. This is thanks to the tilt of the rotation axes of the two planets. Similarity in degrees. Earth is 23.5 degrees. Mars is 25 degrees. This means Mars also has seasons. Significant temperature differences exist between different seasons, and they are further amplified by geographical variations. Winter temperatures in polar regions can drop to -143 degrees Celsius, while summer temperatures at the equator can reach as high as 35 degrees Celsius. Mars also has polar caps, similar to Earth. During the winter of each pole, it remains in continuous darkness. However, unlike Earth, the low temperatures at the Martian poles cause carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to freeze into ice plates, covering the surface of the permanent polar ice caps. These ice sheets are mainly composed of water ice, rather than carbon dioxide. Polar glaciers wax and wane with the seasons. In this short video, you can see it intuitively. Seasonal variations in the size of polar ice sheets, from winter's expansion to summer's contraction. The strange spiral patterns on Mars' ice layers, particularly noteworthy. Both poles show signs of these beautiful spirals. Scientists believe this is the result of the Coriolis effect. As the carbon dioxide ice at both poles sublimates, they triggered a chain reaction in Mars' wind system. Dry ice sublimation can generate strong winds of up to 400 kilometers per hour. These winds affect the distribution of dust on Mars' surface, produced a significant impact. We will cover this in the following content. To delve deeper into this, despite Mars and Earth being quite similar in some aspects, but there are still significant differences between the two. Mars is much smaller in volume than Earth. Its diameter is only 6,779 kilometers, while Earth reaches 12,742 kilometers, and the density is also relatively low. This difference directly leads to the gravity on the surface of Mars being much weaker than that of Earth. To vividly demonstrate this gravitational difference, I have carefully designed an intuitive model. Please observe the wooden block I am throwing in the two videos, adjusted cleverly to simulate the gravitational environment of Earth and Mars. Left represents Earth, right represents Mars. As you can see, the falling speed of wood on Mars is clearly slower than on Earth. This is because Mars' gravity is only 38% of Earth's gravity. Assuming your weight on Earth is 100 kilograms, then on Mars, your weight will plummet to 38 kilograms. Interestingly, this gravitational value, almost the same as gravity on Mercury. Although Mercury's diameter is only 4,879 kilometers, much smaller than Mars, Mars's gravity is only 1% stronger than Mercury's. This fully explains why Mercury's density is far greater than that of Mars. This unique gravitational condition, nurtured The breathtaking geological wonders on Mars. Taking Mount Olympus as an example, it is not only the highest volcano in the solar system, but also the second highest peak on asteroid Vesta, after Rosyth Peak. Although Phobos Mount Via is located at the center of a giant crater and enjoys significant advantages, but the altitude of Mount Olympus, still 3 times the highest point of Mount Everest. Mount Everest is renowned for its steepness, while Mount Olympus is notable for its vast scale. Its width exceeds 600 kilometers, height equivalent to 22 kilometers above sea level. Such a magnificent structure is impossible to exist on Earth, because Earth's strong gravity would destroy it, and Mount Olympus can stand tall on Mars, completely owes to Mars' weaker gravity. As a shield volcano, the shape of Mount Olympus is low, with an average slope of only 5 degrees. This means if you stand at the summit, due to the curvature of the Earth, you will not be able to see the entire mountain in one glance. From the vastness of space, Mount Olympus stands out clearly. Its magnificent figure is visible. If we take a close look at the topographic map, its outline is even more vividly depicted. To me, it resembles a huge pimple on the skin of the Earth. Unforgettable to look at. Observe carefully. In the central area of the volcano, some collapsed craters are distributed, and its outline, then by that steep cliff as high as 8 kilometers, sketched out. Another breathtaking wonder on Mars. It is that canyon, resembling a massive scar, stretching across one side like a sailor's ship. Whenever I gaze upon it, I am inevitably overwhelmed by its majestic grandeur. The length of this canyon is 3 times that of the Grand Canyon on Earth. Its depth is even 4 times greater. It can be called a magnificent chapter of Martian terrain. However, when we turn our gaze to Mars, the most striking is its unique red. Why is the surface of Mars so vividly red? This is thanks to the rich iron element on the surface of Mars. Over time, these minerals react with oxygen. Iron oxide has been generated. In other words, this planet is like iron on Earth. It generally rusts under specific conditions, gradually covering itself with a reddish-brown outer layer. This phenomenon explains the reddish-brown tones presented by the ground and rocks, as NASA has shown over the years, through various Mars probes. As shown in the photos taken, these images, along with their remarkable resolution and clarity, seem to transport us to the surface of this planet. For astronomers from a century ago, this is undoubtedly an unreachable daydream. Benefiting from Viking 1 and 2, Curiosity Opportunity, as well as missions like Perseverance, we get to see the true face of Mars' arid landscape, as if they were right before your eyes. However, while admiring these photos, you might mistakenly think, this red planet has already fallen silent. In fact, it is not. Mars is still incredibly active. Its surface is constantly staging various dramas. Wonders such as 2008, an avalanche captured by an orbiter as it passed by, are breathtaking. The footage captured by the camera shows falling soil stir up a whirlwind of dust. What you see here are some sand dunes as high as 700 meters, and the width of this photo is about 4 miles. It's not hard to imagine. This sandstorm cloud is definitely no small matter. What's even more astonishing is, Mars is actually inhabited by spider colonies. However, friends who are afraid of spiders can rest assured. These creepy crawling creatures, although they can reach widths of up to 45 meters to 1 kilometer, but they are not real spiders. In fact, they are carbon dioxide ice under the warm spring sunlight. When the ice beneath the surface of Mars is heated by sunlight, it reconverts back into a gaseous state, and in the process of breaking through the thick ice layer of up to 1 meter, it erupts in the form of a huge geyser. Meanwhile, it scatters black substances in a spiderweb-like pattern to the surroundings. These stunning images are exactly what the ESA ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter captured during its flyby of Mars in early 2024. Furthermore, another dune was captured multiple times within a year. The extent of its change is remarkable. As the dust wears away, several lines become increasingly distinct. For the diversity of Mars terrain, to add another bold stroke, so far, I have shown you all many new impact craters. The images in these scenes, you can clearly observe dust stirred up by the impact. This is particularly fascinating. Because of the impact, water ice on the surface melted, its flowing traces snaked out from the impact crater, vividly in memory. It should be noted that the colors in the image are only for depth indication, not its actual hue. The surface of Mars is indeed breathtaking. However, its grandeur sometimes exceeds your imagination, especially when that rampant, facing the sandstorm, when the fierce wind sweeps past. Dust will be rising up, a vast amount of loose dust. A massive wind wall capable of sweeping across the entire planet will be constructing. The scale of the scene, often makes it difficult to estimate. That is hard to fathom. From a space perspective, the tracks of these storms are clearly visible. Taking a dust storm captured in 2012 as an example, just a week later, the changes become evident after the storm subsides. In this photo, if you look towards the North Pole, you will find that the storm has quietly passed away. Global dust storms on Mars, completely different from any meteorological phenomenon on Earth. They are so unique and fascinating that I specifically made a video about them for you to enjoy here. So are you curious where these peculiar patterns on the surface of Mars really come from? What's astonishing is, they are the work of a dust devil. These mini tornadoes are unusually active on Mars, and have been captured multiple times. From the perspective of the orbiter, we can catch a glimpse of its majesty. It is estimated that these dust devils are over 800 meters high, with a thickness of about 30 meters. Their shadow diameter is even astonishingly 2 kilometers. From the perspective of the rover, we were even fortunate enough to witness the spectacular sight of a dust devil passing by. Perhaps you would think, through all the atmospheric phenomena we just discussed, Mars' atmosphere is quite similar to Earth's atmosphere. However, the reality is far from that. At this moment, we are 38,000 feet away from the ground. The air here is extremely thin. If I leave the cabin now, I will not only die from the fall, but also suffer greatly from difficulty breathing along the way. The atmospheric conditions on Mars are even more severe than this. To experience an atmospheric pressure equivalent to that of Mars, I need to ascend to the Earth's atmosphere at a height of 120,000 feet. Therefore, if you dream of Mars, the pressure suit becomes an indispensable equipment. However, even so, the sunset on Mars is still breathtakingly beautiful. Some of the most beautiful moments have been permanently captured by Mars rovers. The low atmospheric pressure on Mars is not always like this. The dried-up riverbed is proof of this. They speak of the former glory of Mars' atmosphere. Back then, it was thick enough to retain liquid water, with the heat and pressure needed for flow. So where did the ancient Martian atmosphere go? Scientists believe the absence of the Martian magnetosphere, or the lack of a magnetosphere on Mars, is the key reason for this phenomenon. It is estimated that about 4 billion years ago, Mars lost its magnetic field. Since then, the solar wind began to mercilessly strip away atoms in the outer atmosphere of Mars. In fact, some Mars orbiters have already captured these ionized atmospheric particles, the view gradually disappearing into the space behind Mars. Today, I want to focus specifically on Mars' moon. Mars has 2 known moons, Phobos and Deimos. They are small in size, irregular in shape, seem extremely miniature compared to our moon. Although Phobos is the largest moon of Mars, but its apparent size is somewhat misleading, because it is actually closer to Mars than the moon is to Earth. The moon is about 384,400 kilometers from us, and Phobos is only about 6,000 kilometers away from Mars. You might be surprised to learn how far the moon is from us. The space between Earth and the moon could accommodate several Earths, and between Mars and Phobos, only one Mars can fit. On the other hand, Deimos is not only smaller in size, moreover, it is extremely far from Mars. Therefore, although Phobos appears relatively large in Mars' night sky, Deimos looks like a star orbiting Mars. Even if they are very small, they are also very charming satellites. But about them, I want to tell you, you have shown absolutely stunning photos. This was taken by a rover on Mars. Phobos eclipse. On Earth, I have hardly ever seen an eclipse, so seeing a solar eclipse on Mars, that's a completely different experience. When Phobos passes in front of the sun, you can see its irregular glow. It's also very interesting to observe its effect on the area lighting. As it passes, everything becomes somewhat dim. Alright, this is all we explored on Mars today. But before we leave, let's take a self-portrait of farewell. Want to see Earth from Mars? Look at this photo. We appear a bit indistinguishable on Earth, just a small point in the night sky, no different from the stars. But he gives you an interesting perspective. Even when we see Mars at night, it appears very small to us, but we don't often think about it. From the perspective of other planets, how small Earth is. All life and stories happen in the night sky. This nearly invisible point of light. This is taken from a distance of about 80 million kilometers. So it looks small and a bit blurry, but this is expected. But think about it. Every one of us is in this picture. Mars is truly an incredible planet, and the next destination for humanity. The most likely planet to visit personally. Look around. See one day where we or our descendants may settle. Truly fascinating. He is our nearest neighbor, from the highest mountains to the deepest canyons, filled with wonders worth exploring. Alright, that's all for today's